بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Monday, the 16th of January 2023, and in our broadcasts, this is Reflections on the Holy Quran. This is broadcast number 384. These broadcasts are brought to you by LASER, the Lahore Ahmadiyya School of Education in Religion, which is a department of the Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishayat Islam of Lahore. The Ahmadiyya movement was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught us that although other people, other reciters of the Kalima say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, prophethood continues, but this is wrong, because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatmun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained its meaning by saying, La Nabi Abadi. There is no prophet after me. So now no prophet will come, whether an old one or a new one. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad claimed that he was a mujaddid in line with the hadith of mujaddids, many of whom had already appeared over the centuries. In some centuries, more than one mujaddid appeared. But his distinction was that the hadiths which speak of the Messiah and Mahdi, they're referring not to two personalities, but describing the characteristics of a mujaddid. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that those characteristics appeared in his personality. He also said that Muslims are hasty in calling each other heretics and so on, and they should avoid doing that, because the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in his hadith that if a reciter of the kalima calls another reciter of the kalima a heretic, a kafir, then the verdict of heresy returns and falls upon the person who uttered it. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also taught that although other reciters of the kalima say that among our sources The first one is the hadith. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam said that this is not true. The first of our sources is the Holy Quran, and then the Sunnat of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, or his actions, what he did. And then after that comes hadith, and then other things. He also taught that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. But when returning from fighting, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said Muslims are returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad, and he went on to explain that the major jihad is jihad bin nafs, a jihad against your own selves, against your own souls. Because your souls, your inner selves, tempt you into doing wrong things more than anything else. And we need to remember these things. And with that, let us turn to the verse of the Holy Quran that we were discussing before our long break. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها ألم تعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. And Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali Sahib has translated this verse of the Holy Quran as whatever message we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, we bring one better than it or one like it. Know you not that Allah is possessor of power over all things. So today we are going to look at the following words. Anna, Allah, Allah, and Kulli. So we're looking at all these words. It doesn't mean to say that the broadcast is going to be very long, but because there's not a lot to say about something. This is the first word is Anna, and this is called the accusative particle, that. And it belongs to a special family, special group of words, and they're called Inna and her sisters. Inna wa ikhwatiha. And it simply means that. Next word we are going to look at is Allah. And we have discussed at length various aspects of this word. even Muslims believe that this is a combination of Al-Illah, Illah meaning God. So Al-Illah means the God. Or in other words, there are many gods, and this is the head God. And I explained that the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement carried out extensive research in this, and Hazrat Maulana Abdul Haq Sahib Vidyarthi, Rahmatullah Alayh, he showed that Allah was actually one word. It's not a combination of Al and Illah. And we spent a couple of broadcasts on that. And then I also spent some time, some broadcasts on discussing Al-Illah. Al-Illah is like, you have the President Biden and he has a cabinet. You have Secretary of State and Secretary of Homeland Security and all this kind of thing. Or you have the Prime Minister in the UK, Rishi Sunak, and then you have the Home Minister, the Foreign, well, they call secretaries, Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, Chancellor of the Exchequer, etc. And in fact, Greeks had a similar idea that they said there are many gods, and then there is a chief god. There is God of fire and God of rain and God of something else, etc. Each element of nature, they said, was controlled by a god. And then there was a chief god. I think the chief god was called Zeus. But of course, the difficulties it leads to, you can understand. God of rain wants rain, and God of sun or God of light wants there to be sunshine. I guess that's why they had a chief god who decided these disputes. But that is not the Islamic concept of Godhead. In Islam, God is one being for all human beings, regardless of their color, regardless of their religion, regardless of their sect, whatever. There is only one God for all of us. So in a way, stress that Islam puts on being God, being unique, being only one, etc., is to counter these olden ideas of there being many gods and a chief god, and etc. But I guess another time we'll spend more time on this word. As I said, I spent quite a bit of time on this. So next one is Allah, which is a preposition, and which means over something. And next word is kulli, and that has the root kaf, lam, la, and it means every. It can mean each, but also every. And we have, I've lost them somewhere. Let me see if I can find them. Yes, that's right. We have, this root is used to make 4 different words which we find in the Holy Quran, and in total these words occur 377 times. 359 times they occur as kul, and 15 times as ulama. So that takes care of most of them. There's only about 3 left. So Kaf Lam Lam, Kallan, it means all the elements, all the parts of something. And it's used both for masculine and feminine. And sometimes it's used to mean some. Scholars of Arabic, scholars of Quranic Arabic say that it actually represents conceptually when one thing totally surrounds another. And it's also used to mean a lawyer, an idol, a new problem, an orphan, a family man, and some lazy person, as they say in English, a good-for-nothing person who's a burden on others. We have in chapter 16, verse 76, where the word is used in that sense, that he is a burden upon his master. It also stands for to become physically tired or get tired of something. And then al-kalalatan, that is related more to inheritance and succession and so on. There are long discussions about this word and so on. Majority believe that this word kalala means a person who has neither parents. This is on his death, because he couldn't have been born without having parents, I hasten to add, that when he dies, he doesn't leave behind parents or kids. Because, a human's natural physical sort of links, relationships have 2 sides, don't they? You have coming down father and going down children. So if the person in the middle dies without leaving behind father who's alive or children who are alive, so both sides of that person's relationship have disappeared, and that's called the kalala. And so you can see that this will then impact upon inheritance and inheritance tax, and all this kind of thing. Again, in verse 177 in Surah Nisa, we find a verse that actually contradicts the generally held view that I mentioned earlier on. And that verse of the Holy Quran says that if a person dies and he does not leave behind any progeny, any children, and then and he has a sister or brothers and sisters, then this is how his estate will be divided among them. So, according to this verse, the word kalala applies to a person who doesn't have any progeny, any children, but has brothers and sisters. Parents are not mentioned here. If he leaves behind living parents, then the estate will be divided in a different way, and that's mentioned elsewhere. And sometimes this word kullan or kallan is also used to mean some. For example, where the Holy Quran relates Hazrat Abraham alayhi salam's sort of question answer with Allah, and Allah says to her, Adam, take 4 birds and then train them, domesticate them, and then put them on. And this word is used. Followed by jabalim. So if the word kallan means all, then the translation of this verse would be take 4 birds and then domesticate them and then put them on all the mountains. I mean, clearly, this is not possible for Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam to do. He'll have to go to, Mount Everest and Himalayas and put them on there, and he'll have to go to Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa and put it there, and he will have to go to, I don't know, Grand Canyon or somewhere in the United States and put the birds there. Clearly, it's not possible. So, kullan doesn't, in my view, necessarily mean all the things in the universe, but all the things related to a person. So you could translate that as, take 4 birds and then domesticate them and then put them on all the hills that you can access. Not Mount Kilimanjaro and Everest, because obviously Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam did not have access to them. All the mountains, all the hills that you can access. Now, from that we can say that it means some. Because if we take all to mean all the mountains, then Hazrat Ibrahim is placing those birds on some of those mountains. Another example could be that, I don't know, you're having a house built or getting some work done, or you have a factory and the people who are building your house or working in that factory, they do something that annoys a neighbor or whatever. And someone comes to you and he complains and says, "You're men." Now, obviously, that doesn't mean the whole of humanity. In one sense, whole of humanity is his men. But in that context, it doesn't mean the whole of humanity. It means the men you have employed, the men you have hired. So it's all, but all in the sense of all the ones related to you, all the ones that you have something to do with. And if it's preceded by inna and succeeded by illa, then it means there wasn't a single person. So all in a negative sense. Like in chapter 38, verse 14, it says, there was not one person among them who did not reject God's messengers. They all rejected them. So, although it's all, but what they're doing is something negative rather than something positive. And so basically, as I always say, you have to be careful and keep the context of how a word is being used in mind. Otherwise, you're likely to arrive at the wrong conclusions. And of course, Allah is the holy. Allah is the author of this holy book. So we should be very careful to make sure that we actually make every effort possible to get the right meaning, because it's not just a question of meaning of the Holy Quran, it's a question of getting guidance. If you come to a wrong conclusion, you will be misguided and do the wrong thing. So we should be careful about that. With that, I take my leave of you, and inshallah, we will meet again tomorrow, and we'll carry on, and I hope we'll end our discussion of the words of this verse of the Holy Quran.